What's up, everybody? John from Florida Moto Talk coming at you again from the garage with another video to kind of help you level up your riding skills. And we're just going to jump right into it. So, with riding nowadays, we're starting to see a lot of new riders get into the sport. A lot of brand new beginners coming straight from the street. Lots of people buying, track bikes and just hopping into it, jumping into the deep end, and it's great. It's a great time to be a motorcycle rider, especially if you're doing track days and especially if you're racing. The sport is blowing up right now. And so that kind of motivated me to put this little video together for you. And in this video, I'm just going to go over 5 tips, just things that help me sort of level up my riding and just become better over time. And so with me, I'm a complete motorcycle nerd, if you hadn't figured that out already. And most of the time, whether I'm at work, whether I'm out exercising, I'm running, I'm driving in the car, I'm listening to either some kind of podcast or some kind of motorcycle related content, whether that be just a podcast with a racer where they're talking about their life and talking about how they got from point A to point B, or I'm listening to more technical stuff like Ken Hill, who puts out a lot of good videos when it comes to motorcycle riding techniques and the mentality and just all the pieces that you need to become a better rider. Ken Hill, great podcast. Go check it out. I listen to my boy over at BAF Racing up in Canada a lot, my boy Andrew. He puts out a lot of videos that talk about understanding corners and braking and just things that really help you level up. But I'm always listening to something like that too. Another good one is the Veteran MX podcast. Those guys, they focus on dirt bike, motocross racing, but it's the vet podcast, so it's geared toward older riders, the older guys like myself that are coming into the game kind of late, and they give you a lot of good tips on how to level up. And everything that they talk about on that podcast is great, but they really focus on health and fitness and nutrition and mentality. That's a really big part of it. But another good resource to go listen to, the Veteran MX podcast. And listening to all these things, it's really helped me sort of level up my own game over time. And so I just want to take a couple of tips that things that have stuck out to me, things that have helped me get from point A to point B. Now you're probably wondering, who am I? How am I qualified to talk about this? Well, that's the thing. I've been riding for almost over 15 years now. I think I'm at 18 right now. But I've been riding the track, doing track days consistently for maybe about 3 to 4 years now. And then I'm in my second year of racing with Wira. And so I'm not the fastest guy. I will never be the fastest guy. But I still have information that I can definitely share with newer riders. This video is going to be geared toward more beginner level to the upper intermediate level riders. Expert guys, you already know what you're doing, but still listen. You still might be able to get something out of this. But this video is going to be geared toward just the newer riders to kind of help them get situated, kind of help these guys kind of see what things they should focus on, what areas that they can focus on to kind of improve their own game. So, man, let's just jump right into it. Like I said, this is going to be a short and sweet one, and as usual, if you got any questions, leave them in the comments, but let's hop right into it. So my first tip number 1, understand the purpose of a track day. For all you new guys, all you intermediate guys, understand what you're trying to achieve with the track day. Understand that a track day is not a race. This is something that I was really, really bad about when I started racing myself. I was really bad about this. Anytime I would get on the track when I started doing track days, anytime I was on the track, it was just balls to the wall. Flat out, and just go as fast as I could every single time. I wasn't methodical about anything that I was doing. I wasn't thinking critically about anything that I was doing. I was just like, hey, let me get out there. Let me go as fast as I can every single lap. And it wasn't until my mindset changed till I started to focus on what I wanted to do. I started to have goals, right? My goal was to start racing. And so that switched up my whole thought process. But in my mind, I said to myself, this is what I want to work toward. So for now, the track day is a place to build your skills. It's a track day to work on. It's a place to work on your fundamentals. Um, it's a place where you can start to kind of find the limits of your bike, just little by little, safe environment, as opposed to a race where it's just flat out balls to the walls. You're not practicing working on skills in a race. You're trying to win the race, but the track day is the practice for that. And so when I say understand like the purpose, understand what you want to get out of the track day, understand what you want to achieve. Now, there's a lot of answers for that question. You could just want to just get out there and have fun, like I did when I started doing track days, which is fine. If you want to have fun, then hey, get out there and have fun. That's an easy one. If you want to race, then obviously you're going to have to be more methodical about what you're doing. You're not just turning laps at this point. We're going to start having to work on skills and start to build upon those skills. But understanding the purpose of the track day, right? To practice, to learn the bike, to understand riding, will help you level up, right? Just having specific things to focus on, and then start developing those specific things that you choose to focus on. And it's some days you're not gonna get your fastest lap, right? Some days you're not gonna set records, and that's just a part of it. And understanding you're at a track day is just a part of that. You are focusing on being consistent, for example. See, I want to go out, I want to work on being consistent, but understand what you're trying to achieve at the track day. Understand the purpose of the track day. To practice, to learn, not to go flat out every single lap. All right, second tip, number 2. Tip number 2, don't worry about what other people are doing, right? Only focus on yourself. Only focus on that first tip, of the thing. Focus on what you're trying to achieve, what you're trying to do. If the guy next to you has a tricked out V4R and he's in the novice group, don't worry about it. No one cares. If somebody's faster than you, don't worry about it. Don't think about it. No one cares. It's a track day. Remember, it's not a race. It's a track day. Understand the purpose. But focus on yourself. Try to limit distractions from things that are outside of your control, right? Somebody passes you into turn 1 and they're gone. Don't compare yourself to them. You're different. Only focus on yourself. Limit distractions, because the way our minds work, we can only process so much at one time. Our brains have limited processing power. I mean, they're the size of a freaking football. Well, probably not even that big in most cases, but you know what I'm saying. But we have limited processing power. Our brains are just tiny computers that don't even run that well, but they're tiny computers. So we have to stay focused on specific tasks. They focus on specific things. When we start to worry about other things outside of ourselves and staying focused on the bike, our brain processing power goes down, our focus goes down, our attention to detail, it goes down. So limit distractions. Focus on what you're doing. That's going to help you level up. Don't focus on what other people are doing. It doesn't matter. Only worry about yourself. And kind of moving on. Point number 3. So I did the Ed Bargy Race School a couple years ago now. And one of the important things that stuck out to me that they taught us in the class was to have one thing that you're focusing on when you go out for a session, right? And what they meant by that is when you go out for a session at a track day, the point is to practice. So have one particular skill, for example, that you want to focus on. That could be something like trail braking. Say, I'm going out this session, I want to focus on this one thing. I want to focus on trail braking into turn 1, or I want to focus on trail braking into turn 2. You get the idea. It could be something as simple as I want to focus on hitting the apex. I want to focus on corner exit, right? I want to focus on squeezing, the tank with my thighs. I want to focus on moving, being comfortable on the bike. I want to focus on my clutch control and my throttle control and being smooth coming out of the corners. At the beginner level, right? Beginner and intermediate level. Going back to the brain and our processing abilities, our brains can only process so much. When we simplify what we're trying to do, it helps us focus better. And so we can perform that one particular skill better if we focus on that one thing, as opposed to just going out and just saying, once again, I'm gonna push, I'm gonna push, I'm gonna push, I'm gonna go as fast as I can, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. You overload your mind. When you're flying around the racetrack, our brains are already processing so much information, right? Imagine how much space you're covering within a second or two. Our brains are processing all that. Simplify what your brain is processing, and you will be able to absorb and practice these skills better. Trust me on this one. This one is huge. Um, our brains, and in my experience, anyways, I feel like my brain works better when I'm on just when I'm focusing on one thing, but also when I'm on autopilot. For example, I'll get behind a buddy of mine. I'll say, "Hey, let's go out for a couple laps. I'm going to follow you." I'll turn my brain off. I'll follow my buddy, and my reflexes take over. I've got some of my fastest laps ever, just kind of clearing my mind, allowing my mind to sort of process everything naturally. And I've set some of the fastest laps I've ever done. Just following somebody, clearing my mind, allowing my brain to process all the information that's coming. So I do feel like our minds work better on autopilot, but understand to get to that point, we have to work on these individual skills. Increasing that processing power of your mind, it's something that happens over time with practice. So let's look at Marc Marquez, for example. He's been in the news a lot lately because that boy's been winning. That's my dog. But anyways, Marc Marquez, the way that his brain operates on a different level, right? We've seen the MotoGP bikes. There's thousands of bikes. There's all sorts of conditions of that motorcycle that change throughout an entire race. Even the track surface, there's changes there. There's changes in the wind. There's changes in the heat. They have to absorb so much information to make it 25, 30 laps around a racetrack and do it consistently. And it's something that not everyone will be able to do, fortunately. But once again, if we start at the bottom, let's focus on individual skills. Every time we go out at a track day while we're practicing, it's going to help us level up. As we learn these skills, muscle memory is huge with anything, especially riding motorcycles. Muscle memory is huge. Reflexes are huge. If we get these fundamentals and we work them over time, we can increase our brain processing abilities. We can begin to absorb more information. We can begin to push. We can go faster, and then we can do it naturally the more comfortable we get using our minds in this way. So tip number 3, like I said, have a singular goal that you focus on when you go out on the track during a track day. It's going to help you level up. We're moving pretty good right now. Moving on. Tip number 4. I hope I'm in focus on the camera. Tip number 4. Get methodical when you're studying, when you're taking notes. Studying, for example, before I go to a new track, well, any track really, I print out a track map every single time. I got one right here, actually. Here's a Jennings track map. You can't see it, I'll put it up on the screen. Any track I go to, I have a track map for it. You can find these online, just Google, find a blank track map. I'll print out a couple copies. When I go out, I will come back, and then I will write down my impressions from the laps, any notes. I should be in third gear, at this corner, I should be, hitting this apex, blah, 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 or I had this issue here, I had this issue there. Don't try to remember all these things in your mind. Write them down on paper. And with the track map, a lot of the times they will have brake markers on them. You can print the Google view of the actual track and put notes on that too. That works, but that helps me out a lot. Studying, it also helps to watch YouTube videos. You can go on YouTube. YouTube's a great resource. Watch laps from people that have been to the track, people who put down good laps. Understand what lines they're doing, right? Listen to when they're getting on the throttle. Listen to when they're hitting the brakes. You have to put in the extra work if you want to level up your game. You have to study this stuff, right? You can't just go to the track once every 6 months, think you're going to get the job done. You're not. You have to put in the work to get to that point. Also with my bike, I'll show you a picture of this. So I will go in any track I go to. I will print out a little, pretty much a chart where I write down all of my suspension settings. I write down my baseline settings. That way, if I make any changes to the suspension, it's notated. If I don't like the change, I can go back to the stock setup. Super easy. Only takes a couple seconds. Make sure you're doing that. I also write down my tire pressures for pretty much every session too, just to keep a track, see how the different pressures perform at different temperatures, see what I like and what I don't like. Once again, you can't remember all that stuff, but you have to get methodical with this if you're trying to level up. I also went down just the kind of suspension rabbit hole, as you're probably going to do yourself here pretty soon. And I went and printed out this little suspension cheat sheet that was pretty cool. I have a couple pages in my notebook. I have a big notebook that I take with me to all the tracks, where I have all my track maps, all my notes, all my bike settings and everything. I keep it in one big binder. And well, it's right here. Let me just show you again. I keep it in one big binder, my big Wira folder, and I take that with me to every track I go to. And I have a section of a couple pages where I printed out this entire suspension guide, and it tells you what every suspension component on the bike does. It tells you how it reacts to certain changes. It's very helpful to understand how your suspension works, because once you start getting a little bit faster, you're gonna start tweaking with the suspension. There's not always gonna be a professional suspension tuner at every track day you go to. They're usually at the races. I've seen them at a couple track days here and there. You're gonna need to know how to you're gonna need to have at least a basic understanding of your motorcycle suspension and how to adjust it. Different tracks, your bike suspension is going to react differently. It's good to know how to make at least minor changes to kind of get you close to where you need to be. And so I searched around on the internet, and then I found this flow chart, pretty much a suspension flow chart. And you look at the problem that you're having. Say I have like mid-corner chatter. Find mid-corner chatter on the chart, and then it'll say, make this change, and then you'll get this result. And that's been really helpful for me when it's come to tuning my own suspension, because it really breaks it down. And I'll show you this on the screen too, but it really breaks down pretty much, all the common things that you can run into with your suspension. For example, chatter on corner entry, or chatter on the rear, or you don't have a lot of feel or grip in the rear and things like that. It tells you how to make basic suspension changes so you can kind of get close to where you need to be. So highly recommend printing off that chart too and keeping it with you. Moving on to tip number 5. Tip number 5. This is kind of multiple tips under the same umbrella. So let's start with hydration. Tip number 5, always stay hydrated, right? Before a track day, you need to be drinking plenty of water, maybe even 2 days out before the track day. The morning of the track day, while you're driving to the track, while you're waking up, that's not the time to start taking water. I was at Roebling Road last season, and it was probably one of the hottest days I've ever experienced in my life. It was like 115 degrees all day, and I was sweating all day long. I was drinking a lot of water. It was so hot that I wasn't eating. So by the end of the day, I got this massive cramp in my chest, and me and my wife both thought that I was having some kind of heart attack or something. Come to find out, it was just, I was cramping. Just my chest was cramping. Never had a cramp in my chest before, but that's how cramps are. You'll get them in the weirdest places once you start working, all sorts of muscles when you're riding around the track. But I got a cramp in my chest. It was because I wasn't properly hydrated. I wasn't eating. So 2 days before the track day, start hydrating, right? Start drinking water. Start eating right. Take care of yourself. When I'm at the track, I make this electrolyte mix, which it just consists of coconut water, lime, salt, and honey. I mix it up in a shaker cup, and it's great. It keeps me hydrated throughout the day. I'll drink, 2-3 of those in, 16-ounce cups throughout the day. I also drink water, and, I mix Gatorade in there too. I mix it up. But I started making my own electrolyte drink. Consider doing that. Ever since I started doing that, I have yet to get a cramp, and I can run a track day. As I said previously, I can ride a track day all day long, man. I'll sweat, but I'll still feel good. No cramps. It's great. It's a great time. Second tip under the same umbrella, nutrition. Make sure you're eating right throughout the track day. We have to fuel our bodies, right? Food, it fuels our minds, it fuels our bodies. There's electrolytes in quality food as well. For a track day, I'll wake up in the morning, I'll have some very light breakfast. I'll have some eggs, probably some kind of protein like sausage or bacon or something. Keep it very light, maybe a piece of toast. I'll eat fruit throughout the day. When we get to lunchtime, man. When I first started track riding, when lunchtime would come around, I'd go over to the freaking, the food truck, get like a hamburger, side of fries, have a little sip of soda, whatever. But then I would crash in the afternoon because I ate too much food. Your body just shuts down when you eat like that, especially if you're partaking in a physical exercise such as riding a freaking motorcycle for an entire day. Is a very physical thing. But that's not the way to get through a track day as far as nutrition is concerned. For lunch, I'll have, a salad, maybe some grilled chicken or something very, very light. Fruit, banana, apple, blueberries are my freaking go-to. And then I'll chase that down with an electrolyte drink, some water maybe. But make sure for the track days you're taking in quality food. Don't, just eat junk food at the middle of the day and then think you're going to get out there and perform. It's just like anything else. Are you going to go eat a freaking hamburger before you go run a 5K? Probably not. And then the third kind of extra bonus under tip 5 is fitness, right? Fitness. I spent some time in the Army National Guard, and in the Guard, we would have drill training, just military training, 1 weekend a month, typically. And then sometimes you would have soldiers that wouldn't train for the entire month until that weekend came to drill. And then they think that they're going to put a rucksack on and they're going to go perform in the woods. They're going to go run. They think they're going to perform. You're not. You're not training like you're supposed to. Don't wait for the track day to then, to exercise. Don't let a track day be that 1 day a month where you exercise, because you're not doing yourself any favors. For me personally, I like to weight train. I like to run at least 2 or 3 times per week. I have a road bike as well. I cycle, I swim. And you have to have some sort of level of basic fitness if you want to level up your game, right? If you're just a track day guy, you just like getting out there, you like riding around, the fitness might not be as important to you, but it's gonna help you improve either way. I can ride way longer now than I ever could when I first started riding. Fitness is a big part of that. Make sure that you at least have some type of workout routine, right? Anything to get your heart rate up, whether it's a daily walk, a daily run, weight training, cycling, swimming. The list is long, but make sure that you're not waiting until the track day to then go stretch and limber up and think, yeah, I'm just gonna go perform. That's not how it works. Don't do that. Look at the professionals. All the professional racers have crazy physiques. They're all in ridiculously good shape because that's what it takes to perform. So take care of your body, exercise, right? Maintain a good level of fitness. That is how you're gonna level up. That is one of the biggest tips right there. All right, bonus tip. We're gonna give you a bonus tip. Tip number, it's not tip number 6. It's just the bonus tip. Bonus tip. For me, when I first started getting into track days, I wanted to emulate the things that I was seeing other people doing. The camera shots where you see the guy who's doing the dab, right? He's dabbing. He's got his elbow out, got his knee sticking way out, butt all off the seat, hanging off the bike, getting the track day glamour shots, right? For whatever reason, that was in my mind when I was riding around, and I try to emulate that. I come to find out I'm not that flexible. I can't move like that, right? That style, it doesn't work for everyone. It certainly doesn't work for me. I'm a taller, skinnier guy. I'm just not flexible enough to freaking hang off a bike like that. It does not work for me. And I was hurting myself and wasting my brain power trying to think and get into uncomfortable positions because I saw other people doing it. That's not the way. When you get out and ride, make the ergonomic changes to your bike. Move your clip-ons, move your wristlets. Get comfortable on your bike. Put it on stands and find where you're comfortable on your bike, right? And then go out and ride it. Your body position will develop over time. It's not going to happen overnight. It will develop over time. And when I stopped trying to emulate what I was seeing other people do, that also helped me be able to ride longer, right? Way longer. And it's because I'm comfortable. I'm putting myself in a natural position that's natural for me. If you look at any 10 riders on the track riding, sure, there's going to be fundamentals, right? There's always fundamentals with riding that we all have to follow. Get up on the balls of your feet when you're moving around. Squeeze with your thighs, right? Try to be loose on the handlebars. Keep your grips loose, right? Keep your grip loose. Look where you want to go. There's going to be basics when riding the bikes, right? But as far as body position goes, find what works for you. All of our bodies are different. Experiment, find out what's comfortable for you. When you do that, you're gonna level up for sure. But once again, with me, once I figured that out, I went from riding 15 minutes to riding endurance races without an issue. I can ride an entire track day without an issue, and finding my natural body position contributes to that. I found out that my natural position, I don't hang off the bike, right? Really at all. I'll hang off a little bit. I don't drag a lot of knee. A lot of the time, I don't, because I'm not exaggerating these movements, right? But I'm still pretty quick getting around a track because that's just the natural way that I'm riding right now. So, bonus tip number 5. Bike ergonomics. Get comfortable on the bike. Find out your comfortable position. Work around that. And then your body position, it will improve over time. But don't exaggerate the movements that you're making. Exaggerate getting your butt way off the seat. Getting those elbows way out. And stretching out. Because it doesn't work for everybody, right? We all don't have to do that, right? We're not all Tyler Scott, right? Find what's comfortable for you, and that's going to help you level up. So that's all the tips I got for you today. Hopefully you got something out of this video. Like I said, this is geared toward the beginner rider, toward the intermediate rider, not so much the fast guys. This is more basic tips to give you things to think about to help you level up your riding, to help you get that little extra bit of time that you're looking for, but also to help you start thinking, to become more methodical about what you're doing, right? Because it's not just a completely physical thing that we're doing on the bike. There's a mental aspect to it. I would argue that the mental aspect is probably about a 60-40 split. 60% mental, probably 40% physical. The mind has a lot to do with riding. So hopefully this got you thinking about some things. Hopefully you can take these ideas and kind of apply them to your own riding. And hopefully, you can get a little bit more comfortable and find a little bit more time. But I hope my tips helped you out. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. Anything you want me to cover, leave it in the comments. And we will see you on the next one. Thanks for watching.